I never imagined that a simple dinner would change my life forever. It was a cold December night in Manhattan, and I was wearing my simplest coat, faded jeans, and worn sneakers. My desperate attempt to blend in with normal people for the first time in years was working too well. What nobody at that table knew was that I owned the most exclusive restaurant in the city. I had secretly inherited this gastronomic empire after my grandfather passed away suddenly when I was 28 years old. For a full year, I worked disguised as a waitress in my own establishment, observing how wealthy clients treated the service staff. It was during that period that I met the group of socialites who were now publicly humiliating me without knowing who I really was. The aroma of gourmet dishes that I myself had approved contrasted with the bitter taste of cruel words they spat about my supposed deplorable financial condition. I am naturally observant, a characteristic I developed in childhood when I learned to read people before they could read me. My iron determination helped me build a solid gastronomic empire, but beneath all that exterior strength, I carry a deep and constant vulnerability, the fear that people only accept me for my money and not for who I really am, consumes me day and night. For months, I built relationships based on elaborate lies. Each conversation was a carefully orchestrated performance to keep my identity secret. The first obstacle I faced was maintaining this facade while genuinely infiltrating diverse social groups in Manhattan. The second obstacle was dealing with the overwhelming loneliness of not being able to be authentic with absolutely anyone in my life. Each passing day, the emotional burden became heavier and more difficult to bear without revealing my true circumstances to someone trustworthy. Every social interaction required careful calculation and emotional energy that left me exhausted by the end of each day. The group leader was a 40-year-old woman obsessed with maintaining her social status through very calculated strategic marriages. Her goal was clear and ruthless: protect her position by eliminating any intruder who might threaten her influence in high society circles. She didn't know that I had secretly financed several of the charity works she commanded with such public pride. During the summer, I faced a devastating crisis when a renowned gastronomic critic threatened to expose my identity in a demolishing review that would ruin everything. Simultaneously, I discovered that my distant cousin was trying to legally contest my grandfather's will. She alleged that I was too young and inexperienced to properly administer the family empire he had built over decades. Each professional victory I achieved cost me an important part of my soul and emotional well-being in the process. The legal pressure combined dangerously with social pressure, creating a perfect storm of constant stress and anxiety that consumed my daily life. The sound of silver cutlery hitting fine porcelain resonated throughout the elegant salon, while tension grew dangerously at our table. The amber lights of the crystal chandelier projected dancing shadows on the diners' faces, creating an almost theatrical atmosphere for the drama. The hostess's expensive perfume mixed with the aroma of imported French wine, but all I could perceive was the penetrating smell of my own humiliation. 3 months earlier, during an exclusive charity gala, I discovered that my best friend from college was secretly documenting our encounters to write a revealing book. His book would be titled, How the Rich Really Live, and he planned to betray me completely to gain literary fame. This betrayal forced me to deeply question all the other relationships I had built during this year of deceptions. 2 weeks after that devastating revelation, my personal assistant began leaking false information about my private life to the most read gossip columns in the city. Her envy and desire for social advancement motivated her to betray me in the cruelest way possible for an employee who I had trusted completely. The restaurant's atmosphere began to change subtly throughout this entire complicated year for me. What was once my personal sanctuary had become a true emotional battlefield, very intense. The exposed brick walls I had personally chosen now seemed to suffocate me with all the secrets I jealously guarded. The vertical garden I installed on. The main wall flourished magnificently during last spring, but in autumn its golden leaves reflected my own painful and necessary transformation. During September, in the middle of New York Fashion Week, the competitive culture of the elite forced me to make increasingly drastic decisions. The social pressure to flaunt wealth while pretending to be common created an impossible paradox to resolve. American networking traditions clashed violently with my sincere desire for authentic and real connections. Each social event became an emotional endurance test that completely exhausted me by the end of the day. The constant performance required to maintain my double life was taking a severe toll on my mental health and personal relationships. My romance with a rival chef intensified dangerously when I discovered he was subtly sabotaging my ingredient suppliers. He hoped to force me to sell the restaurant directly to him for a fraction of its real market value. Our genuine passion was being systematically corrupted by conflicting and destructive professional ambitions. Each kiss we shared carried the bitter taste of disappointment. Each caress hid a calculated strategy to destroy me. The culinary world's competitive nature meant that even intimate relationships could be weaponized for business advantage. His knowledge of my operational weaknesses, gained through our romantic involvement, became tools for his sabotage campaign. Every recipe I shared, every supplier contact I mentioned, was being used against my business interests. The betrayal cut deeper because I had opened my heart to someone who saw me only as a stepping stone to success. Our shared moments of passion became tainted with suspicion and strategic calculation that poisoned what could have been genuine love. In October came my moment of greatest emotional vulnerability, when my adoptive mother was diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's disease. She was the only person who knew my true identity and all the circumstances of my family inheritance. Her memories began to fragment slowly, taking with them the only genuine moments I had in this complicated life. Each hospital visit was a cruel reminder that even people who truly love us can completely forget us. The woman who raised me with unconditional love was disappearing piece by piece before my eyes. Our conversations about my fears and hopes had become impossible to maintain as her condition deteriorated. She had been my confidant, my moral guide, and the only person who knew my true identity without judging me. Her condition forced me to face the possibility of being completely alone in the world. The rare moments of lucidity became increasingly precious, like flashes of light in a growing darkness that threatened to consume my last genuine connection with another person. November brought the devastating discovery that the investor I was secretly courting to expand my restaurant network throughout the East Coast, he was actually the ex-husband of the woman who was publicly humiliating me at this table every night. His motivation was pure revenge, disguised as a very lucrative business opportunity for both parties. He wanted to strategically use me to provoke jealousy in his ex-wife and then discard me publicly in the most humiliating way possible. Throughout this entire period, I completely sacrificed my mental health in favor of maintaining the necessary social appearances. When I finally successfully expanded to Boston, I completely lost the ability to trust people. When I launched my gourmet product line to the national market, I isolated myself from all possible romantic relationships. The preparation for this culminating moment had been carefully built over months of strategic small clues. Documents and references had been planted deliberately to create the perfect reveal moment. During this winter period, I also discovered that my accountant had been embezzling funds from my charitable contributions for months. His motivation stemmed from gambling debts that had spiraled out of control, and he saw my generosity as an opportunity for personal gain. The betrayal stung particularly because I had trusted him with my most sensitive financial information, including details about my secret ownership. His theft not only cost me money, but also jeopardized several charity projects that were important to my community involvement. The discovery came through an anonymous tip from his own assistant who had grown uncomfortable with his fraudulent activities. This revelation forced me to audit all my financial relationships and question the integrity of everyone in my professional circle. The paranoia that followed made it even more difficult to trust new people or maintain existing relationships. Each financial transaction became a source of anxiety as I wondered who else might be taking advantage of my situation. The emotional exhaustion of constantly questioning people's motives was overwhelming and isolating in ways I never imagined. The renowned gastronomic critic, driven by his desire to democratize exclusive high gastronomy, threatened to completely expose my identity. His devastating review could ruin not only my restaurant, but my entire reputation in the gastronomic industry. Simultaneously, I faced the legal lawsuit from my distant cousin, who contested my grandfather's will with solid arguments. Her lawyers alleged that I was too young and inexperienced to handle a gastronomic empire of such financial magnitude. Legal pressure combined dangerously with social pressure, creating a perfect storm of constant stress and anxiety. Each business decision I made was publicly questioned by experts who didn't know my true qualifications. Specialized media began speculating about my real capacity to direct a business of this economic scale. My professional reputation hung by a very thin thread that could break at any moment if I revealed my identity too soon or incorrectly. The weight of maintaining this secret while proving my business acumen became an impossible balancing act that consumed every aspect of my daily life and decision-making process. My best friend from college was secretly writing a revealing book about how the rich really live in Manhattan. He had been meticulously documenting all our private encounters for entire months without my knowledge or consent. His betrayal represented not only a violation of our friendship, but also a direct threat to my privacy. The book could expose intimate details of my life that I preferred to keep secret to protect my emotional well-being. I discovered his true intentions when I found his detailed notes about our most private and personal conversations. Each shared coffee, each confidence had been carefully recorded for his personal, literary, and financial benefit. The feeling of betrayal was overwhelming and made me question my ability to judge people's character. This experience taught me that even the oldest friendships can hide destructive and hidden motivations. The violation of trust extended beyond personal hurt to professional danger, as his revelations could undermine my carefully constructed public persona. During winter, the restaurant's atmosphere perfectly reflected my turbulent and changing emotional state. The brick walls that once provided me security now seemed to close in on me like an emotional prison. The vertical garden that had flourished magnificently in spring now showed withered leaves that symbolized my painful transformation. The aromas that once comforted me had become overwhelming and claustrophobic in my state of constant anxiety. The warm lights that created a cozy atmosphere now projected threatening shadows that intensified my nocturnal fears. Every corner of the restaurant held memories of false conversations and exhausting performances I had maintained for months. The familiar sound of the kitchen in operation had become a constant reminder of my double life. Regular customers who once greeted me cordially now represented potential threats to my secret identity. The space I had created as a haven of culinary excellence had transformed into a stage for an increasingly complex and emotionally draining performance. The relationship with the rival chef deteriorated rapidly as his sabotage became more evident and destructive each week. His attacks on my suppliers directly threatened the quality of my service and the restaurant's reputation that had cost me so much to build. Each dish I served carried the shadow of his betrayal and his deliberate attempts to ruin my business for personal benefit. Our romantic encounters had become emotional battlefields, where each word hid a secret agenda. The passion we once shared had transformed into a dangerous dance of constant manipulation and counter-manipulation. His kisses tasted like lies, and his caresses carried the intention of obtaining confidential information about my commercial operations. Discovering his true intentions forced me to end the relationship abruptly and painfully. The loss of the genuine love I thought I had found added to the growing emotional isolation I experienced in all aspects of my personal and professional life. The betrayal taught me harsh lessons about mixing business with personal relationships in the competitive world of high-end gastronomy. The moment of greatest vulnerability came when my adoptive mother, my only link to authenticity, began losing her memories gradually. Her early-onset Alzheimer's diagnosis represented the loss of the only emotional refuge I had left in this world. Each hospital visit was a painful reminder that even the purest love can fade without control. Her eyes that once shone with recognition now looked at me like a stranger most days. The conversations we used to have about my fears and hopes had become impossible to maintain. She had been my confidant, my moral guide, and the only person who knew my true identity without judging me. Her condition forced me to face the possibility of being completely alone in the world. The moments of lucidity became increasingly rare and precious, like flashes of light in a growing darkness that threatened to consume my last genuine connection with another person. Watching her fade away was like losing my anchor to reality and authentic human connection in this world of deception and performance. The investor I had been courting to expand my restaurant network turned out to be the ex-husband of my main social torturer. His business proposal was actually an elaborate personal revenge disguised as a lucrative commercial opportunity. He planned to use me as a pawn in his jealousy game with his ex-wife and then discard me publicly in a humiliating manner. His business meetings had been convincing performances designed to gain my trust and access to confidential information. The revelation of his true intentions came through legal documents I found in his office during a routine visit. His plans included sabotaging my other restaurants once I signed the expansion contract with him as the principal partner. The betrayal was systematic and cruel, designed to destroy not only my business but also my confidence in my ability to make intelligent commercial decisions. This experience taught me that in the high-level business world, even the most promising opportunities can hide destructive intentions that could ruin everything I had worked so hard to build over the years. Now, as I listened to the cruel laughter echoing through the salon I designed with such care and love, I understand that tonight is not just about revenge or poetic justice. It's finally about finding the courage to be completely honest about who I am, regardless of social or professional consequences. The waiter approaches with a knowing smile, carrying not only our bill, but the weight of a truth that will change everything forever. His eyes reflect a knowledge that goes beyond his role as a restaurant employee serving these arrogant customers. The tension in the air is palpable as the diners continue mocking my supposed poverty without knowing the irony of the situation. The words about to come from his lips represent the end of a year of lies and the beginning of my emotional liberation. My heart beats rapidly as I prepare for the moment that will define the rest of my life. The revelation will expose not only my true identity, but also the shallow nature of the people who have judged me so harshly based on appearances. The revelation is about to change not only my life, but also that of all the people at this table who have judged me so cruelly based on superficial appearances. During this year, I have learned valuable lessons about human nature, the importance of authenticity, and the real cost of prolonged deception. Each lie I told, each performance I maintained, took me further from my true self until I almost lost my real identity. But I also discovered my inner strength, my capacity for resistance, and my unwavering determination to protect what really matters. The painful experiences have shaped me into a wiser woman, though also more cautious in my personal relationships. The price of maintaining my secret has been high, but the learnings have been invaluable for my personal growth. Tonight marks the end of my transformation from a privileged heiress to a woman who truly understands the value of honesty, humility, and authentic human connection that transcends economic and social barriers that divide people. The moment of truth has finally arrived, and I am ready to face whatever consequences come from revealing who I really am.